Okay, here we are checking out stats on a recent webinar we just completed. Now, as you can see, this webinar did very well for us. Our landing page converted at over 50%, and our engagement shows 57% show rate, and most of the members saw the entire webinar. We always wished there was a way to just automate this webinar so it could play evergreen. Well, now we can, and so can you. Check this out. We just click on over to EverWebinar. And since we have no webinar set up, let's set up our first new EverWebinar. So now, as you can see, we can build one from scratch, but instead, we're going to import a recent webinar that we can automate. Here's one we recently did called Webinar Control. So we just select the day and the session, and then hit confirm. And as you can see, all of the settings are imported, like the webinar titles and the description, but as we'll soon see, so much more was also imported. But first, there are some pretty cool ninja things that we need to set up for the automated webinar schedule. So let's set it up to play 3 times a week. So we will set up our first day to play every Tuesday at 4 p.m. And here's the really cool thing. We can set it to play at any fixed time zone around the world, but we're going to choose it to play at 4 p.m. their local time to be more convenient for the attendee. All this is magically taken care of by EverWebinar in the background. Okay, now that this one is set up, let's set up the next option to play at 1 p.m. their local time. And finally, let's set up the third option to play every Saturday at 11 a.m. their local time, and voila. Just like that, we are done. Now, additionally, I also have options to allow the viewer to watch on demand, and we call that Watch Yesterday's Replay. But the one we're finding that has some of the best conversions and the highest engagement with the less bounce of the room is what we call the just-in-time scheduling, which allows your visitor to register for a webinar that is just about to start. And again, EverWebinar does all that magic for you when you select that option. Next, we can choose how many date options they can see when they register. The next cool feature we have is to block holidays from playing. Look, no one will think you're doing a webinar on Christmas or New Year's Eve, so we already blocked them for you. But we want to also shut off maybe the 4th of July. And while we're at it, let's also shut off Thanksgiving Day as well. Okay, this next feature is for those of you that want to indoctrinate your attendees before they get on the webinar. You may want to train them for 2 to 3 days with videos or content before the webinar. So we allow you to force them to see dates a few days from now to give you time to show your pre-webinar content. So for this example, we're just going to block today and tomorrow so we can send them at least one training email and video. So now that we're done with this step, let's hit confirm and then save and move on to the next step. Since we are just importing from our last webinar, we already have our host set up to display on our registration landing page. So let's save and move on. Next is the landing page. And this is exciting because we have over 24 high converting landing pages for you to choose from with the latest modern designs. And we're adding new ones all the time. Check this out. If we want, we can even split test copy on the landing page or even a totally different landing page design. And you can even control the amount of traffic percentage each page gets during your test, all with the click of a button. Now, as you scroll down, you can look at all of your landing page choices, and you can even preview them. If you like, you can use your own page, lead pages, or even ClickFunnels, but we think ours are pretty awesome. So let's take a look at them. Notice on the bottom right of each template, we even show you the conversion percentage of how each page is converting across our entire network, so you don't have to guess. And what's even better, you can sort this page by highest converting pages. We make it easy for you to succeed. Now, the good thing for us is it already pulled over the template we use live, so we can just review or edit the text and copy on the template we used when we did this live, and once done, we just click confirm, and we can then preview the page. Well, what do you know? That looks great. So let's move on. Now, if you're wondering about email follow-up and SMS notifications, we've got you covered. Since we imported from a live webinar, you can see all of our emails are already set up for us. We have a welcome message, and you can add as many follow-up messages as you like to increase the show rates. And we can edit these to say anything we like. But to get the highest show rates for you, and that's the most important thing, we have last-minute emails and even text messages that you can customize to remind them to check their email to get on the webinar. You know, our customers report to us that we have the highest show rates of any webinar platform on the market. And since our system automatically makes a replay room, you can schedule as many emails as you want to have your registrants see the replay. You can even segment emails by those who did not show or those who did show but left early, etc. That's pretty cool. So let's move on and talk about third-party integrations. Yeah, we got that. If building a list is your thing, just connect us with your favorite autoresponder like Aweber, MailChimp, Infusionsoft, or Kartra, and all of your leads will be passed over when people register. And while you're at it, why not sign up for our affiliate program and brand your webinars with Webinar Jam and make some extra money? Because who doesn't like free money? Now, no system is worth their salt without tracking, and that's why we've added Google, Facebook, and even custom tracking by allowing you to add tracking pixels to our pages. Boom. But for you ninjas out there that want deep integration with Infusionsoft, we got that too. Need a custom IPN for your membership site? It's all here for you tech geeks. And we're currently working with companies like PlusThis and Zapier to bring you even more cool things. The thank you page for after your customer registers. This is one of the forgotten pieces of real estate in the process, and it shouldn't be. You see, with our What You See Is What You Get editor, you can add video or any custom text to start the training, give freemiums, or even start an upsell process. Okay, now let's click preview. And you can see on this page, we give them a link to attend live, links to add to their calendar with one click, and we even allow them to get an SMS text reminder to make sure they get on the webinar. Okay, are you ready to see some really cool ninja stuff that we do exclusively? Yes, you say? Okay, remember we imported a live webinar at the start from Webinar Jam? That means we also imported all of the chat lines, and we play this back in real time to your viewer. That means when you ask a question, the chat will be flooded with everyone answering. Talk about making your webinar feel like a live event. But first, let's get rid of any comments some people may have that don't serve our purpose. We just hit delete, and they're gone. Any trolls trash talking? No problem. We can get rid of any comment with one click. But let's take this a step further. What if you want to seed some really good Q&A? You can enter a chat line at 1 hour, 45 minutes, and 30 seconds that says, "Do you take PayPal?" And you can set it to look like it comes from an attendee, and we'll call that attendee Mary and mark it as a chat. Next, at 1 hour, 45 minutes, and 35 seconds, which is 5 seconds later, we could have Donna say, "Yes, we take PayPal and bill me later." And we mark it as an answer from admin. Can you imagine the possibilities here? You can add as many of these as you like. So let's scroll down and see where it is. There it is. I think we are all set now. But here's what's even better. If you want to have a moderator, one that you outsource or someone from your staff, watch these rooms, no problem. We give you a link that they can chat with anyone that types in the chat. So if they ask, does this run on a Mac or a PC? Or can I pay with 3 credit cards? Or anything they ask, your moderator will see the chat and can reply right in the web browser of the attendee. This live chat will not only make your webinars feel more live, they actually are live now. And that means happier attendees, a better experience, and more profits. I think we are all set now, so let's set up how many attendees we want the room count to show, and EverWebinar will simulate the room count, and the number will just adjust every few minutes, just like a live webinar. So I'll set this to 800 people. There is nothing like this on the market, and since no software can import from a live webinar jam, there can only be one EverWebinar. In this setting, here are about a half a dozen things that are already taken care of for me since I did an import. My add to cart buttons, polls, feedback flow, callouts, they all come over exactly timed for my live webinar. Setting up an automated webinar takes less than 10 minutes. But of course, if I wanted to build one from scratch with a pre-made video, I could just adjust all of these settings manually. So let's move on to setting up the replay. Because when done right, more than 50% of your webinar sales can come from post-webinar marketing. So let's enable that baby right here. Now, if you prefer to set up your webinar to expire and use urgency in your emails, we can make that happen. Just set the amount of time, say 48 hours, and we'll lock the page after that. But I'm going to set this one to never expire for right now. Now, if you want to have questions emailed to you, just choose this option, and we will forward you any question they input in the questions field. Let's add some social media buttons to our room to get some free viral traffic, and we are done with this section. Is the incredible power of EverWebinar starting to click in yet? Cool. Now, if you want to do webinars where they have to pay to attend, we got that covered too. And if you want to add any pixel on your thank you pages to track sales and conversions in EverWebinar for your analytics, you can do that all here. And remember, we also have detailed reporting and analytics just like in Webinar Jam, and no one does it better. But for now, let's take a look at the dashboard and see how this all looks live. So I'm going to click here to see my webinar registration landing page. Yep, that looks exactly the way I want it to look. So let's do a test register for my webinar right here. Hey, don't peek at my email. Just kidding. Notice we cookie everyone across our entire platform, so if they fill out one webinar for any user, they never have to fill these fields out again. Of course, they can change it if they want, but what this all means is higher conversions for you. Okay, after we choose a time, we are sent over to the thank you page to get our links and add to our calendar and get an SMS text reminder. Now remember, if there was any video training or upsell or freemium, it would all be here for them. For now, I have a cute random video from YouTube of cats because nothing says software demo better than a cat video. But now let's see what happens when they arrive at the page for the webinar before it goes live. The attendee will see a countdown timer, and we even have a nice video you can display if you like that tells them how to best prepare for your training. And once the timer hits 0, they get redirected to the room. So let's jump into the DeLorean and go forward in time. Here we are, live in the room. First thing, notice the Webinar Jam branding, not EverWebinar. We want your guests to feel like they're in our live platform. Of course that makes sense. That says live event better than anything. What you're seeing here is an exact replica of our live rooms. The fact is, no one, not even the owners of Webinar Jam, can tell if this is a live webinar or an EverWebinar. I mean, look at all those chat lines scrolling. And EverWebinar will display the Add to Cart button just when we did it live, as well as any polls and surveys. So now you can literally rest assured and make money while you sleep. And we set that up in just about 10 minutes. We can't wait for you to try it.